Hello, and welcome back yet again for yet another completely unprofessional unboxing. Scott here, and what we have here today is something that's going to be a little bit of history. It may send some of you back in time. Don't mind if I laugh on the inside at that stupid joke. But it's something that I had picked up some time back, and it's a little slice of history. It comes as recommended from Pookie from reviews at Raylia. And it's one of those things that when it was first presented, like so many other things that I tend to find out in the world of eBay and RPG auctions and whatnot, it started off as relatively small. Actually, it was only like $3 or $4, and I was told to grab it. Someone else had apparently found out about it, saw its worth. There was a bit of a struggle, but nothing significant. But it definitely fell into the realm of being still affordable to have a little slice of history. So, what I'm going to do is going to go ahead and open this up and try my best to give it the bit of attention and background that something like this should get, especially for those who may not be familiar with it, such as myself, before I actually did a little bit of history and looking into when this thing first came up. So, shall we begin? Trusty Coleman camping steak knife here. And this is a big box. The people who packed this, Kokomo Toys, I believe in Indiana. I know this is a big box for what's in there, but they definitely packed it to keep it nice and safe. So go ahead and cut through it here. And packed. Yep. Should be over here. And I think I might be able to just slide it out. Oop. Sorry if the mic is picking up noise. I'm using my Blue Yeti, and the gain on these things are a bit high, so I'm still playing with it. So if the sound is a bit much, let me know. I mean, I'm not a sound engineer. I just pretend to be one. So a lot of it is just lessons learned and advice provided. So what is this? Time and time again, the time travel role-playing game. One of the first things that struck me when I saw this was I thought it was just another skirmish game, war game. I mean, the age of the game itself, the artwork on here, this would be one of many things that you would probably find stacked side by side as far as your general box war games would go. And a lot of times something like this probably would have been overlooked, even though the role-playing game tag was on the front of the box and on the side. But then again, I don't know if this would have struck a nerve into many, many people when this came out. So, excuse me. So time and time again, it's definitely a time traveling role playing game with special rules and special circumstances involved within it. Not going to pretend that I know the full history about it. If you want to see the full history about it, there is a wonderful review by Steve at rollingboxcars.com. You can search on their site or just search time and time again review, Rolling Boxcars, and it will come up. And a wonderful little review for someone who's had some experience with this game. But anyway, so back to it. Time and time again. It comes out in 1984. 1984 being a relatively big year for a lot of new games coming out. Obviously, Dungeons and Dragons was still holding tightly at the reins. They had just came out with the companion box set. You would see the beginnings of Dragonlance modules starting to come out. Likewise, a lot of continuation of the UK modules. So if you were knee deep in TSR and Dungeons and Dragons itself, something like this would have passed you by, but not just in the United States, because other games had come up during this period that would have overshadowed this. I would say not just because of the game itself, but in its general presentation. It's in my opinion, it's a very basic looking box, but once again, a lot of times good things come in very normal looking packages. Never judge a book by its cover, so they say. But I mean, if you were in England, you were experiencing, playing Cyworld for the first time. Maelstrom was now available for you to take a look at and experience. Likewise, Golden Heroes, and another very popular superhero game that was probably, I don't know how popular it was in the UK in '84, but as it was coming out in the United States, Marvel Superheroes. So Paranoia, even Toon. Sorry, bud. But all of these games that probably would have, garnered a second or third look, and your eyes would have completely passed over this. So, but not saying this is anything against this game itself. Just there was a lot of competition stacked up against it, and not surprising that a lot of people didn't experience this game. But anyway, so let's go ahead and open it up and take a look at what's inside. And we see that, yep, this, it was opened and presented, the inside contents by Kokomo Games. And yes, a toy store near you, Kokomo Toys, sorry, not games, Kokomo Toys, in Kokomo, Indiana. So, wow. And the stuff that they had for sale was amazing. So, and now that I mentioned the name, forget them and strike them from your mind and never look them up on eBay again. All right, so what else do we have here? We have a card, hopefully interesting. Wow, okay. I don't know if this was supposed to be in here or not, but Superman The Wedding Album, a 96-page spectacular created especially for the occasion. The family of DC Comics invites you to share its joy at the wedding of Lois Lane to Clark Kent, October 1996. So yes, obviously this was not part of this game, it coming out in 1984, but I guess this was part of the owners who might have owned this previously, somehow left it in here, or maybe Kokomo Games slipped this in, but that's an interesting find. You'll always tend to find something like this, little extra bits in used games, which is kind of neat. So inside you have Time and Time Again, Book 1, dealing with the rules, temporal physics, Bureau of Temporal Affairs, world government, character creation, armed and unarmed combat skills, and Voltigeurs Tales. So immediately when we open it up, we do see it has that very kind of 1980s role-playing game look. Smaller fonts, very dense and compressed. Not saying that it's not readable, but for those like myself who are getting a bit on, this is definitely going to require some reading glasses to absorb. But as we flip through this, so we have the general description of time travel and the use of time travel. So here we go. Here's some rules here. You can't send something into something, so don't worry about winding up half in and half out of a rock. It can't happen. Okay, rules of this game, no matter where you are, you cannot transport anyone back in time into a solid object. Don't need to worry about that. You can't go back more than 500,000 years. Okay, you can't go into the future. You can't change history. Now, that's something that might pique a little bit of interest for those who play in role-playing games, because as you're going down this list, some people are going to start asking, well, what do we do within this game? Well, like I said, if we find it here, I'll bring it up. Otherwise, definitely check out Steve's review, who will give you a more in-depth description than what I'm going to give time for, because this is just an unboxing. This is not a review of the game. Let's see here. You can't send metal back, but you can bring it home with you. You can't meet yourself in the past. The fuzzies say that if you try, you don't come back. So they've created some rules to allow you to go back in time, be a part of history, not really change it though you can stop others from changing it. Trying to change it, I would imagine. And you can't go back with a giant six-armed robot with rockets shooting out of its chest. But if there happens to be one there, you can use it. Whatever the case may be, they're setting some ground rules so you just don't go back and tear up history with a semi-automatic machine gun in Egypt or something. So a little bit of notes here. Some have pointed out that by returning to the future after a mission, the team violates this rule. This is not true. So that's dealing with you can't go into the future. I would imagine that's because you are being pulled back to where you belong in history. History has happened. It's fixed and unchangeable. It cannot be changed. The old saw about going into the past and shooting one's own grandfather has no meaning unless your grandfather was shot. But if grandpa died in bed after siring father, uncles, etc., then trying to go back and shoot him will fail. The gun will jam, your aim will be off, someone will get in the way. Events will conspire to prevent the action because it never took place. But while history cannot be changed, remember that historians can be wrong. Did Shakespeare pen Hamlet? Perhaps. And perhaps Old Bill got the idea for Hamlet from one of his drinking buddies. Who beknownst to Mr. Shakespeare was a Voltiger. Voltigers are not known for erudition, certainly not for reading the works of the bard. So there's there's loopholes here that will allow you to go through it. Information on the world government, where it is at the time. If I'm not mistaken, there was in the history of this, there was some sort of world event. A particular scientist found the key to time travel, and after doing so, brought the world together under a single unifying umbrella, at which time their focus was to go back in time and keep people from trying to manipulate it some way or another, or go back and learn from history. So, as stated, we do have a lot of dense material here. I believe you belong to a particular organization. Join now, march with Xenophon. Yeah, so there's little kind of join the time traveling gang here at the front of the box. That's kind of like a selling point. Sign up to travel the world and travel through time to see the world. Okay, so character creation, several different skills here, and we go through combat rules, and continuing on as we get near the end of the book, chapter 7, Veterans' Tales. Let's see here, Voltigers. I assume Voltigers is the name of those who are traveling through time. Okay, and a nice little big bibliography on where they got their history from. All right, next we have Book 2, Climate, Terrain, Animals, Economics, Technology, Transportation, Government, and Politics, Ethics, and Etiquette. So, how you conduct yourself as far as where you're going within time and the technology that will be involved there, transportation, languages, and ethics and etiquette, play of the game, and a bit of designer's notes here, and more in the bibliography. So I would imagine that if you were preparing for this game, this would be for really big history buffs, people who have a nice foundation in history, because I don't know how well supported this game was, but definitely would allow you to reenact certain points in history and bear witness to them, or if you even had a conspiracy history in mind that you felt things were different and you were going to go back and find out the truth. This would be probably a fun thing to play and focus upon. Continuing on, we have a set of character sheets. One character sheet, I should say. Is it one? Yes, one character sheet that you can copy. Skill-based. a variety of weapons, D10s. Wow, a lot of D10s and D20s are involved in this. So, yeah, be interested in seeing the rules. Structure point, blood point breakdown. So, okay, a very, very large table, along with an armor table, skill training table, and factor and rate of fire tables. We have Rescue in the Sacred Valley. It looks like it's an adventure for the game, and I would imagine, yes, it takes place in Egypt. Just Moments Before Dark, The Fall of Saigon. Interesting. And finally, Quiet Days in Burka. That would be Vikings? Vikings, yes. Pre-Christian Sweden. So, yeah, so you have a few adventures that comes with it. I think when I was looking at this that there were a couple side things that, side adventures, supplements, whatever the companions, whatever the case may be. But once again, something that wasn't fully supported, but what do you really need for it to be supported by? I mean, yes, it does come with some of the things that I kind of feel are necessary. Sample adventures. Actually, 3 of them, it would seem, to give you an idea on how to run the game. Obviously, there's 2 rather dense books that gives you the information on how to play. But this is a game about time travel and history. All the companions, all the supplements you need are simply online for whatever period that you would like to go back and explore. But yeah, so it's what struck me is as I'm going through my RPG midlife crisis. It's true, several of us are. I'm not just rediscovering the games of the past that I played and enjoyed. Not as much interested in that because I've been there. I've experienced these things. But I'm looking at games such as this, especially the older ones, a lot of the ones that were in the inception of the hobby, or things that came shortly thereafter that helped define it, that wanting to explore, wanting to further my education of the history of this hobby and find the bits and pieces of these games that may exist elsewhere and probably not admitted to. I mean, it's beg, borrow, and steal is how it is in a lot of the game designer ways of creation. It's if it's something that they like, they're going to take it and utilize it elsewhere and pick and choose until they come up with something that they enjoy and want to present. But sometimes they'll admit where they got it from, and other times it just came to them in a dream. So this is one of those that is a piece of gaming history that came out in a very big time in gaming history with the amount of games that came out during this time. And likewise, one of its, I want to say, what was it? Time Master. Someone had said if you like rigorous time travel rules, and something that that maybe a little bit more rigid, I guess maybe the wrong term, but definitely established rules for time travel time and time again is for you. If you just like bonkers off the wall, go back in time and change everything, then Time Master's for you. I'm not familiar with Time Master. Maybe one I might be familiar with later on, but we'll have to see. But yeah, so time and time again, and I'm just going to look over on the back, and here we go. I'll just read the brief description, and then we'll conclude the unboxing here. So in Time and Time Again, you stand beside Napoleon at Borodino, watch the pyramids being raised, journey down the Mississippi with Sam Clemens, travel with Marco Polo to Far Cathay, join the legions, and cross the Rubicon. The T2 game system features rules for character generation and skills, with the most realistic combat system, armed and unarmed, ever published. 1984. Okay. Chapters cover climate, geography, languages, economics, travel, manners, and morals, so on and so forth. The physics of temporal translation, time travel, or T2 as they call it, are presented in sufficient detail to allow for easy while preventing paradox. There are maps and charts, character sheets, and 3 complete scenarios. Just add dice and imagination. Welcome to the BTA. All right, so yes, go back in time, experience, what it is from the era that you're in, create some sort of conflict. Don't alter history, but be a part of it. And this may be enticing for a lot. This would be, if the rules aren't overly complicated, this could be something that a history teacher might be able to utilize, either in a middle school, high school, or college educational level. Might be something fun to do with just the kids, if trick them into learning history. That's what a lot of games, are how they're utilized in the classrooms. You're so fooled at having you're so spending so much time having fun, you don't realize you're being fooled into learning. Holy crap, you're learning something new and enjoying it. So anyways, this has been another ramble, but time and time again, a piece of history that I'm glad that I own. Can't wait to look into it. Once again, check out Steve's review at rollingboxcars.com. I'll put a link down in the Wang Dang Doodle. And maybe check out some other games from this time. Go online and see what was being presented in 1984. Even though TSR, was still had this, the partial stranglehold it did, the sheer amount of, these new games that will become cornerstones, or these wondrous games that will influence to this day. People are still collecting, reviewing, and playing several of these games, including Toon. But yes, so thank you once again for being here for another completely unprofessional unboxing. My name is Scott, and next video, I have a very special video from someone who was very kind enough to send me a copy of a game that they had an extra of, and I'm looking forward to opening that next, and there'll be a little bit of history with that too, more of a personal history and my involvement with what the game is based upon. So take care, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.